Okay, are you ready for my rant? Because here I go, okay? We're all living in plan B, right? Never before has that saying, life is all about how you live plan B, been more appropriate. And it's interesting because as I talk with people and listen to people rant on the internet, I find it interesting that they speak without filters, for one thing. And that can be a good thing, and it can also be a bad thing. Sometimes we just need to vent, and that's when it's a good time to vent to somebody who is close to us, that we know, that we feel safe venting to. Sometimes people are starting to vent on social media, which is just kind of spreading a little negativity around. And so I wanted to talk to you about how we counteract that. How do we not allow ourselves to get down amidst all the negative energy that's out there? So my theory is that if you can stay positive in a world that is full of negativity, it doesn't matter what happens to you, you win every time. It doesn't matter if you get COVID, it doesn't matter if you get cancer, it doesn't matter if you lose your job. If you can stay positive amidst the negativity, you will come out a winner every single time. I believe that with all my heart. So exactly how do we do that? You know, it's easy to say that, it's easy to throw that verbiage out, but how do we actually do that? Well, I've come up with 3 steps and 3 things that I do to stay positive. So people are always asking me how I stay so upbeat all the time. And I always tell them, it's a choice. It is absolutely a choice. Choosing to be positive, choosing to see the joy, choosing to see the happiness and embrace it is absolutely a choice that we can choose every day. Now, does that mean that some days I don't really feel like it? Yes, that's exactly what it means. It means that there are days when I don't want to be happy. I don't want to be cheerful. I just want to, fall into my grief over the death of my daughter, or I want to sit there and fret and wring my hands over the state of the country right now and the economy and everything. However, guess what? That doesn't really help. It doesn't really help at all. If I can act as if things start becoming like I'm thinking and like I'm acting, the world changes around me. When you're being positive, it's really hard for others to be negative around you. I love a quote that is attributed to Abraham Lincoln when he said, "Most people are about as happy as they make up their minds to be." And I believe that. I believe that with all my heart. We can choose to be happy, we can choose to embrace happiness, and we can choose to make it a vital part of our lives. Now, there's a lot of simple little mini steps that we take along the way to make that happen. One is to always try to bring our best game and our best self to every situation. I've had a lot of people say, but why can't I just relax and be myself when I'm at home? Well, when I'm at home, that's when I'm around the people that I really love the most. And those are the people that I feel deserve my very best. So when I'm around Al and when I'm around my kids, that's when I really turn my game face on. That's when I want to be at my very best and my most authentic. And my authentic is trying to make the world a better place and be happy. So make sure that you're not giving your best to everybody else and taking home anything less. Hey, Burley Glasscock, you're this way, I know it. So when you're trying to be happy, make it a way of life. Embrace it with all that you've got. And here's the really interesting thing. When you're being happy around people who are not, after a while, the energy of being negative is just too much for them, and they end up in turn being happy too and raising their level. So it's a win-win. So the second way of how you do it, so you put on your game face and you act as if. The second thing that you do is you look for the joy in every situation. There is joy. There is opportunity in every situation, I promise. One of my very favorite examples is the book called The Hiding Place. I know so many of you have read it, and it's the story of women who were in concentration camps in World War II, and how they tried to find joy and gratitude every day for something. And these women decided one of the things that they were very most grateful for were all of the fleas and the lice that had infested their living quarters, because they knew that with the fleas and the lice, it kept the guards away from them, and they were safe. And so they found joy by embracing the negativity. Well, I got news for you all. Nothing we're facing is that bad. We're not facing fleas and ticks. We're all sitting in our homes that have running water and heat and electricity and power. And, yeah, maybe we're starting to feel a little bit cooped up, and life has changed a little bit from what it used to be. But that doesn't mean that we can't find joy and be grateful in the little things. As I started thinking about the things that I find joy in every day, it was easy, and the list became just too easy to start pointing things out. So I decided to take myself back to what I refer to as the worst day of my life. And that was the day that my daughter passed away 4 months ago. And as I think back on that moment, I'm trying to find all the wonderful, joyful things that happened then. At her funeral, the room was filled with people that were celebrating her life and the wonderful people whose lives she touched. That was so amazing. As I think back now, I'm so grateful that she passed away when she did, because had she lasted another couple of weeks, we wouldn't have been able to have a funeral. We wouldn't have been able to fly out there for it. And also, the last few weeks of her life with the cancer would have been pretty bad. So as it was, that was a real blessing that she passed away when she did. What a blessing it was that my family was all around us. And we embraced each other, and we had fun talking about all the good things and all the positive things that life has given us. And the most wonderful positive thing life had given us was our daughter, Carrie. And so even in times of the most deepest darkness, we can find the good things in life. We can find the things to celebrate. The last thing that I wanted to talk to you about was how important it is not to buy in to the hysteria, not to buy into all the negativity, not to quit listening to the news, for crying out loud. I mean, there's so much stuff on it that's just so negative, and both sides of the political arena and all over with the medical stuff. Just stop. Take a breather, take a break from it all. I promise you, if anything critical happens, you're going to find out about it. But choose to take a break from it and step back away from it, and stop being so afraid of the consequences of illness, of sickness, of cancer, of COVID, or whatever it is. Stop being so afraid of all of these things that you stop living. I'll say that again. Stop being so afraid that you give up on life. Life is so rich and so filled with wonderful things. Make sure that you live every minute of it. Live the height and the depth and the breadth of it all. When you do these things, and when you can embrace happiness, when you can find joy in the mundane, even in your most darkest hours, not only does it lift you up and give you a life worth loving, but it lifts those around you. It makes the world a better place. And slowly, it has a ripple in the pond effect. And before you know it, there is happiness all around. Choose to be happy. Choose to embrace life. Choose to live a life worth loving. Mahalo nui and aloha.